So what's explaining now in those Zions? Rabbi Akiva said, when you get to the Avnei Shaish Toher, don't say Mayim Mayim. So what's he explain that to mean? The Avnei Shaish Toher, so the stones, the wall, that's the parsa. Between the Ein Sof and Atzilus and everything else that follows. So even though it's a parsa, we should look inside again. Third line of that ois. Dav shezer yishal parsa. The one hand, it's a screen, it's a veil. Shinyon hefsek, it means an interruption. It stops a revelation and divides between and it's divisive. Shalachin yikra b'shem avonim. Therefore, it's called stones. Now, the chsiv, it's not. I'm just not clear. He just finished saying the downside, as it were, that it is a hefsek. After it's a hefsek, the chsorim, the limitation. The chsiv buhu, about stones, it says, avonim shachakumayim. The pshat over there is that the stones are worn down by the water. And eventually, even stones are worn away. So, this doesn't flow with the af so much that even though they're called, even though it's a hefsek, should be nonetheless kind of, I don't know, you can maybe die in Oisius, I don't know. But nonetheless, so this hefsek, he concludes in explaining the pasuk. The pasuk is talking about water and stone as two separate things. The waters are bearing down the stone, but it seems that he wants from the pasuk to say the effect of the water and the stone merging the two together. Because he goes on to say, Shesh b'hem mayim. There is water there. In other words, mayim in our metaphors are likus. Aval him behelim v'hester godel. So I'm not precisely clear on the model here of the stone, the water, the pasuk.
Maybe he's saying that there is water within the stone because every you say but you have to reveal it because the stone is like a camouflage.
Chaim, he is saying that, but the pasuk isn't saying that. The pasuk is saying that the water wears down the stone. They're two separate things. And he says, "Sheyesh b'mayim aval him behelim hester godel." So what does he want from the pasuk? And also the af. The af is the chsorim. Then counter it with afal piken. The primis this water. Could be it's not meduyik or I'm just not seeing something. Don't know. The conclusion is clearly that yesh b'mayim. But the mayim is behelim v'hester godel. V'yesh tzorich b'shtadlus v'yegia. So the whole point is the point is that avoda has to reveal what? That the tzimtzum did not create another reality, but it's all Eibishter, and on the contrary, he's found. This is the shuv dafk in the matter. But that is avoid b'tzorich b'shtadlus v'yegia kedei legalus, as you said the mayim shebehem. So there's great effort required to reveal the mayim, the likus that's in the helim v'hester. Again, the pasuk is not saying that, but anyway. Now, so here's where it concludes the af. Let's try this again. Here's where the af is balanced, even though the parsa is a hefsek. And that's why it's called avonim. Again, sheyesh b'mayim, it's not there. Okay, so the Mekol Mokim simply to say this, even though it's a helim v'hester, and the mayim is in great concealment, and it requires great avodah to reveal it. Mekol Mokim, einem avonim stam. The helim v'hester is not stam a helim v'hester, which has bepnimius in it, elikos elav nishaish toher. But they are pure marble. He's saying like, is he not saying it's like a shame? Hang on. He just finished saying that the mayim is there. Now he just said they appear to the viewer like water. It said, is that not a contradiction? It could be that he's talking about when nichnas lepardis, that's what he's saying. When you go l'mayla, you'll see that they're mayim. There l'mayla, you'll see that the tzimtzum, the hel, and the hester is all a likus. But still, there's the danger of the two mayim. He built, he was this terrible tyrant and mercilessly tortured and killed all the chachamim, leaving only Baba ben Buta alive. And then he was a Roman slave, famous Urdus, and a questionable convert, not really understood. But he rebuilt the Beis HaMikdash, and he built it with this marble, which was green and blue and white, and he wanted to cover it with gold. So they told him not. The Chacham said, or Baba and Buddha said, the Mechsek, the Ki, Idvese, the Yoma. As Rashi explains it, because it looks like the waves of the sea, and therefore it's very attractive, and you're going to compromise it, so leave it as it is. And you all know that, and the Gemara says, anyone who didn't see this, Beis HaMikdash, that heard this build, never saw a beautiful building in his life. Now, what's the in here? So the Beis HaMikdash is where Likus is, and the walls are the tzimtzum, the interface with the rest of the world. And what is it? That the mechsek idvese the yom. So again, it could be when is it needed in the ayin or that's in the Beis HaMikdash. So when you enter the pardes, that's when you see that the tzimtzum is really likus. But nonetheless, they're entering pardes. There's still the danger of two mayims. So when you get there, you'll enter this deep place. In other words, don't conclude that there is a likus lifnei tzimtzum and there is a different reality post tzimtzum. What's a different reality post tzimtzum? Nivroyim. Creation. That's another reality. That's the era. We're going to see how the era is forewarned. The main warning of Rabbi Kiva was not that you should, that's how it comes out Pshat in the Gemara. Pshat in the Gemara is that you'll think it's water, and you'll say, how can we go further? That's what Rashi says. So the diak is not the double mayim. The diak is it's water. And don't say that because it's not water. He goes on to say then the Gemara that heaven doesn't tolerate falsehood. That's al pi nigla. But al pi Kabbalah, the diak is in the mayim, is in the double water. Sheikar as a rosa yoisa shlayim robeis pamim mayim. It's not so much the water, the water we're saying is a likus, and that's correct, that's true. The problem is the division, the 2 times mayim. It's not two waters, but one, meaning hainu, let's see. It's all the likus. So the question is this: how could you say it's all the same? The likus which is hiding the paras is bligvu. The likus that is in the matam yaparas is gvul. And moreover, there's creation. So what's the answer? The answer is everything we learned now. That the only reason that there is gvul is because in the mayim elyonim in atzmos erin sof, that's where the image of the matter began, before the matter even emerged. It starts there, not later. Another reality. There's a likus, and then at the end of it, there's the tzimtzum and the ishtalshalos, and there's us. And that comes later. No, or afterwards. And the likus is independent of that. That's mayim. There's post-ishtalshalos and pre-ishtalshalos, post-tzimtzum and pre-tzimtzum. What's the whole point of the mayim here? that the Leva Odom, that the Mineu Bei Halos Man, Mineu Bei, that the Eibishter entertained the Tainog of a Nivra, and he's all the way down Shir Atzma B'Koyach. They're already there. The Eibishter entertained Shir B'Atzmai. Everything which will happen B'Poyach, which is why he went ahead and made the rest of Ishtalshalos from the Mata. So the Mata is inseparably part of the Maila to begin with. And in Avodah, that means that the Rotzoi has to be not mitzad, the Rotzoi feeling distant and I want to be close. But the Rotzoi has to be because of the Elyon. That I only exist and I because you want me to, and you want me to where in the Maimel Yonim, in Atzmusa Yisbarach. That's the nature of the Rotzoi. I'm going ahead and giving us so we'll understand a little bit what he's saying now. Rabbi Kiva is telling them, you'll come there and you'll see there that it's Avnei Shai Shtor. You'll see that like the Beis HaMikdash, you're in the Beis HaMikdash Shal Maila. Idvis the Yomba, it's waves of water. Don't say there's two Mayims. That seems to reconcile what he's saying. The only place that you see it's Mayim is when you enter. Stam, we start off saying before, it's Behel and Behester Godel, that's here, from our perspective. Present into the paradise, then, that's what we have to say the Pshat here is. Then you can see the Likus, the Tzimtzum, and the whole. But, nonetheless, there's the inherent danger, as it were, of concluding that there's Bligvul and there's Gvul, and where his Bligvul reveals him and Gvul conceals him. Both are Mayim, but radically different. Two Mayim. What's the answer? That the Gvul is already there, the Amitis HaBligvul from the very outset. It's the Leva Adam HaTachten, that's the Allah's Man Milnei Ubei. And that's why there's a holy Shtalshalos. So again, let's continue in the words of the Maimon. This whole parsa is because of the Mayim Ponim Leponim. The whole Gvul, in other words, is only because of the Odem HaTachten that the Eibishter conjures, which the Shamas Yisrael bring in the Atzmus Ein Sof and the Maitzel Lifnei Tzimtzum. We're talking the very origins, the pshitas of the Mayim. Higher than the very first articulation of the Rotzim, there is already the Tachten. There. Doesn't emerge later. That's something else. And how does he exist there completely inseparably? There's only a likus there, and that's where David Tachten is. That's when the Shamas Yisrael is, and the Avodah Nidim Bahem Pnei Mistakel. There in the Eidin Sof Lifnei Tzimtzum higher than the Rotzen. There is the image of the one who looks there is present. What's that? That's the Eibishter again entertaining us, me, you, individually. Nishmei Seim Shel Tzaddik Misha'ol B'Machshav the Neshamas of Tzaddik, which means Eden. That ascended in the highest level of Machshava. This is the Mayim Al Yonim. Ba'ofen Shein Einam Dova Nivdol Mayim in such a way that there's no separation at all. It's all a likus. I feel like a Medova Shemishavim in Mayim. It's not that a likus produced something, created something. It's all him. Elohim Amayim Atzmom. What's the Haim? The Avodah of a Yidnish Meshem Sal Tzadikim is the Mayim itself. So don't say Mayim, Mayim. Mayim, Mayim means that you think you're going to be seduced into thinking as you enter into the paradise, the higher you go, the less Hakbala, and then you're going to encounter the Evan, the Avnei Shai Shtor, the Tzimtzum. And you're going to say that higher than that is the Mayim El Yonim, which is pure. And the Avonim created as a result of the Tzimtzum. A compromised Mayim, Gvul, all the way down to Biyah, and there's two separate realities. Don't say so, it's not so. Say it isn't so. The shaila is, as I think you mentioned the other day, they got the bavarnish, so why didn't it help them? Didn't help them because they didn't nichnas b'sholem. Yeah, but what drove them was their desire, their longing for connection. You tell me it's at the kavonda, helyoinda, it's dafka lamata in a goof. I don't feel it here. I don't feel a likus here. So
is it like coming to a farbrengen? Is it like coming to a farbrengen, listening to everything and agreeing? When you walk out of the farbrengen and walk out of the shir, you're back to yourself and you think, true, you heard everything. True, you saw everything. Or it's a guy like perhaps it's like something like maybe it's
except in the opposite way. In your scenario, so after the farbrengen, we get involved in the negativity of Elam Hazard. Them after the farbrengen, we're not leaving, we're staying. It's more like somebody won't leave. You know what the marshal is? Someone's like doesn't want to leave the farbrengen. Just doesn't want to leave and doesn't. And the truth is that it has to be that element. You don't want to leave. But you do leave knowing that the kavan el yoinda is the mata and there's no separation. And the whole reason that there is the gilul likus in the highest levels is in order for the aveda lamata.
Me, I wouldn't leave.
What?
If we're up to me, I wouldn't leave. But it's not up to me. So.
Right. It has to be.
Or maybe the farbrengen was, don't be busy with yourself. And when they came out of the farbrengen and they went and they continued that way, they forgot the message, perhaps, or they didn't follow through on the message. I'm just being devil's advocate.
Yeah, but it's not like it's not a stubborn. I'm not saying it's like it's the mistake was not forgetfulness. It wasn't forgetfulness. It's just the metzius. The reality is that Lamaila Likus is revealed, and they want to feel godliness. So they're being told that even though you're not going to feel godliness down here, but this is what he wants, and here's the deepest connection, and your whole metzius is not something other. It's so good, but I don't feel it. It's just don't feel it. So it's very seductive. The non-nosiv malk is a tremendous avodah. No giloyim, but atzmos. And where's that? Dafkilamat in the goof. So let's continue now. Navoida. So what's he saying now? What is the huge, incredible and exquisite truth that is being revealed to us? What's being revealed to us that is our metzius and our avodah and our struggle. And the tainik that Eibishter has from this, that is arose, as it were. The language is the paucity of language, but that arose and is present in its full. When the diukum of the Maimon was that the image in the water is every single detail. On the one hand, on the other hand, there's nothing separate from the water. So every detail of our lives and the struggles and the ups and downs, that is what the Eibishter once entertained, already experienced, as it were, and therefore, because of that, became a whole ishtal shalos lamata. And therefore, and so therefore, the desire that everybody has, it's irrepressible desire, no matter how low a person. No matter how low a person falls, that's guilt. Is manifestation. There's guilt. There's the irrepressible desire for truth, for transcendence. So this, so therefore, knowing this deep emes, that his whole metzius is, where does it all begin? Doesn't start with me here and I've got to get there. My whole Metzias begins there, and that's why there is a me. So therefore, the whole Rotzei has to be, not I want to escape where I am and I'm uncomfortable, and he wants, everybody's looking for innocence, everybody's looking for purity in one way or another, transcendence. That should not be the Tenuah. So the Pnimius has to be that not that he wants the Rotzei because he wants it, because being in the Ilam Haza and this sinful world is uncomfortable. But he has to know that how does it all begin? Because of my imponim, that his avodah, his metzias, his struggle was all their impression, for want of a better word, present, reflected in the Mayim Elyonim, like the water that appears in the water, the face that appears in the water, it's not separate from the water itself. So my whole Metzias has to be recognized that why is it there? Why is it Negeya? And why should it be the Rotzoi? Because this is him. This is his desire. And my existence fundamentally, which is why how from where I come from the Ponim. I come from the Ponim that's in the water. So my Metzias is that I feel like a dog mishabiyom, not even like the fish of the sea that comes from the water, which is also tremendous bitter. So much that Rabbi Shimon Gamliel says it's not chaytzitz if it's tefillah, not even that. My whole Metzias is there, not separate, but it's the Maya. And it's the Adam HaTachten all the way to the Adam HaTachten. That is what's present there in the Mayim Elyonim. Which means that all he wants at the deepest level is my avodah in pearl down here.
Rabbi, it's like the reflection that we want so long to have within ourselves. It's like the Torah that we not only go through, but that we want to have within ourselves that longing. And today's Torah portion is when the Moses wearing a mask, and the whole idea is that they couldn't take the mask when Moses went the second time to get the tablets. So how do we that mask of removal that has to take place, unfortunately, because we didn't properly adhere to what we were supposed to when the first tablets were given. So the whole concept is, how do we get to that same place we could have been?
That we continue to say, so if the Rotzei is not an escape to another reality, a Mayim Elyonim, here he is stuck in Mayim Tachtonim, but no, the Rotzei is in such a way that afterwards there will be the Shuv, because he recognizes that the whole reason that his whole Metzias begins fundamentally to begin with in the deepest way in the Mayim Elyonim. And why is it in the Mayim Elyonim? Because of his avodah here lamata. So his emergence as a Metzias is not something other, not a new reality. It's there in the Mayim Elyonim in the deepest ways. It's clear. Huh? Since the whole Seder Shtalshalos, as it's articulated in Seder Shtalshalos, so the Rotzen articulated the Rotzen Shetia Dir Betachtoinim. Adlam Mata Mata Bel Masya Gashim Bav Chumri. And the Dir has to be where Dafka, this lowest physical, corporeal, and coarse world. Harikeinu. So it is Kamaim Ponim the Ponim Gam Lifne Atzimtzu. So there already present is the Tachten Shein Tachten the Mate Meno. In essence, the Olam Hazeh, she's saying, in essence, the Olam Hazeh Agashmi Vachumri is present where Lifne Atzimtzum. Not something else that comes later. It's all there. It's all one. It's all there. So there's no two mimes. So therefore, you want to be close to the Eibishter, so it's counterintuitive. It would mean ascending, going closer, higher, more because less Olam Hazeh. The profound paradox is no, the Dafka is the greater the descent. the more the engagement. But that comes at the end of the line. It's a whole radical, different new reality, and it comes after the tzimtzum, harishan, and the tzimtzum. It's eons away, Baruchnius. Answer: no, it's not. This is present in even Lifnei Harotzen. In Atzmusi is Baruch and Nimlach Mishmeshem Shal Tzadikim, because the Neshama is Amushish there. The Aliyah Sama Minei obeying the deepest level. That's where it all is, to begin with. Not something else. And that's how the Rotzi has to be. And if that's what the Rotzi is, then it's going to be Shuv. It's going to be Dafke in the engagement in the Ilam Hazeh, in the struggle with the Yitzhahara, etc. We're somewhat clear. Huh?
So what was the sin? So what was their sin? So what was their sin? We know that they went to Rotzu, not B'tzad Shuv, but
right. The sin was, but the Metzias, the reality is that you don't feel godliness Lamata. You only feel and experience His presence the higher you go. And because they wanted to feel the truth, not just to be the expression of truth. Let me rephrase that. They wanted to feel truth, not just be truth. Be truth doesn't mean yet you feel necessarily. But they wanted to feel the truth. You don't feel that with this Helen Vehester. They know it. They don't feel. You can't feel it. That's by divine design. Hashem is concealed here. So Rabbi Kiva is telling him the truth. He's saying, be emes. And they wanted to feel the emes. So to feel the emes, not here, it's the Maila. And that emes is not the atmistic emes either. It's the Giluyim. There's an Eibishter and all these wonderful revelations. That was their chet, was they wanted to feel the truth. They wanted to feel like a chassid rather than be a chassid. Laughing because when we yeshiva, this couldn't help but hear this song was blasting on the radio everywhere. Wherever you went, can't tell you, who sing it, but there was such a strong refrain. He's crying out, "I want to know what love is. I want you to show me." Huh? So you think about these words. I want to know what I want you to show me. It's not about you. I want you to show me. I want to feel. I want to know what I want to experience love. And I guess it's a she. She should show him. So and this was he singing almost close to nefesh. I mean, it got our attention, was playing everywhere. There was gaguyim. And very sincere. What's missing? He wants to feel love. As opposed to be connected to her. As opposed to her, period. She should show him. I want you to show him. In other words, I don't need you, just show him what love is. Show me love. Thank you very much. You can... No, maybe we might elevated the song. It was such a strong song. Somebody sang the words and everything's in my head. There was a bacha there that Shigeit by Fabrenga was singing it kind of as a parody. Maybe he meant it also in the Rotzoi. It was a cute moment. I'm not saying this is a model to emulate. So Rabbi Kiva Dafke was nichnas b'sholem v'yotze b'sholem. So he was nichnas b'sholem k'vishim b'vur, but I hope I didn't distract anybody in the machshavas in the wrong place. Come back, Chelva. K'vishim b'vur ba'maimer. Maybe you're too young even to know the song. It's a long time ago. Oh, you're too young. Your children. Maybe you weren't even born. You weren't born. That even the Rotzi was b'shalom. It's only a few lines. Even the Rotzi, in the Rotzi was the Shuv. Why? Why? Can someone spell this out in simple language? What's the point of the Maimon? Even in the Rotzi is Bechinas Hashuv, B'chtei sheyuchal liyas achar kach Hashuv. It was all because later there should be the Shuv. Why? Because not escape your Metzias. Your Metzias is there because he wants it to be and exists in the deepest levels of Alikus. And what is your Metzias that he wants? You is engaged in the Tachten and the Yetzirah and the struggles of life. In other words, very simply, you ascend to the deepest levels of Rotzah, to the pshitas of the Maitzel. Where on the one hand, pshita is divested of all limitation. Ligvul in its purest form. And what's he going to encounter? His face, his own Metzias there. That's what you're going to see there. Me? What am I doing there? Oh, because the Eibishter wants a relationship with me, and he sees himself in all of his details. What? All this agbolas. That's the seer, the ponim in the mayim. Is there something else there? I thought I'm only going to find God there. What am I doing there? The answer is there's nothing else there. It's only the Eibishter, it's the seer and the mayim. It's not even a creation. It's all b'machshava and the deepest level. It's the halos ma minei obey. That's the deepest, highest level of alikus. You're not. Here's the paradox: you will not see yourself in all the levels of air till you get there. Then you're seeing pshitus and air itself, and it's all beautiful. And then all of a sudden, the highest at the peak in Atmos Ein Sof, then you see yourself there. Which is saying, maybe she says, what I want, what I'm present, is you, and I'm seeing he sees the guf gashmi, he sees the whole, all the limitations of the person reflected in the water, but not separate from it. And hence the shuv. So I'm not going to feel necessarily anything as I'm in tzedakah and working with the world. Maybe not. Lost love of your world will be the oir and the etzem, will be the lichtik adira, the home will be luminous, but till we get there, it's the dogged avodah. So you don't want me to feel like a chassid, you want me to be the chassid. Yep. Okay, going back, as it were. Continue in the diak of shalom. Another diak in the word nichnas b'shalom.